Now I've got a new term for you today, swarm computing. Not another one, I know, but stay with me to the end because I'm going to explain exactly what it is and how you can actually use it in your workflow. Now as you might have noticed, guess what? Opus 4.8 has just dropped. So in this video, we're going to break down what it is, whether it's a minor incremental improvement, whether it is genuinely a game changer for your coding workflow. So let's get into it. Now it is always nice, isn't it, when you've got the studio already booked for the big drops. You're not scrambling around at the last minute trying to make sense of it. So this week it's almost like I'm telepathic because right on cue, here is Opus 4.8. As you would expect by now, we've got all the improvements across all the benchmarks. And honestly, wouldn't it be funny if 4.9 came out one day and the benchmarks actually went backwards? But no, there you go, another incremental bump on the SWE bench and the rest, of course. But the most interesting thing is that it looks like Anthropic have solved one of the biggest gripes people had with Opus 4.7. Now here's what I mean. Opus 4.7 would just go off and do things for you. Now when that works, it is amazing. It's like having an executive assistant who intuitively knows exactly what you want, sometimes before even you do. Now I remember one time I had 4.7 go off and saw some B-roll for me. Things other YouTubers had said that I could reference in these videos. Now it found the exact timestamps in the video and it even used YTDLP to download the clips. And that saved my editor a whole load of time. What it did is it handed me ready-made sound bites to talk about without me having to do the grunt work of hunting them all down. But that same eagerness does have a downside. Opus 4.7 had a tendency to also go off and do stuff without really asking. For example, when I asked it to tighten the scripts for these videos and drop them into my second brain so I can review them and add footnotes the way I would in a normal Google Doc with a real scriptwriter, it had this habit of stuffing in production notes, and these notes bear no resemblance to what the edit is actually going to look like. It would add title cards, camera angles, all sorts of things that the editing team is just far better placed to decide. So really, it was just cluttering up the writing, and on top of all that, I'm spending tokens on work I never even asked it to do. Now this is of course just one low-level example. In other cases, it could go off and delete files, create new assets I didn't even want. It can be a bit like that annoying know-it-all at the back of the class who does extra work and just wants to impress the teacher. 4.8 then is Anthropic's attempt to fix it. One of the headline things that Anthropic is advertising is that it will be honest about its own mistakes and limitations. So if it can't do something, instead of bluffing its way through, it comes back and actually tells you. And I suspect the reason 4.7 went the other way in the first place is that so many people online were complaining about permission prompts, about how annoying it is when the model keeps stopping to ask before it does anything, to the point where people obviously just set up bypass permissions entirely as default. So Anthropic dialed up the autonomy in 4.7 and maybe they overshot it a little bit. And it's taken a model generation to get that balance right. So the proof of course will be in the pudding over the next few weeks as we see whether it actually lands. But the big change here is a new feature, and this is where swarm computing comes in, what I was talking about in the opening. Instead of having to manually construct your own subagent or agent workflow by hand, Claude will now intuitively build an agentic workflow for you whenever it decides the task needs one. Now you can turn this on in the settings, and there's also a new high context mode that supports it. This is the clever part though, it's built into the agents checking each other's work. You have one agent doing a set of tasks and then sub-agents below that going out and evaluating the results against each other. One agent completes the work and another agent verifies it. We're talking about potentially hundreds of sub-agents, maybe even up to 1,000 running at the same time. So this is huge, and if they're correcting and verifying each other as they go, then work gets done far faster, and it's going to be genuinely exciting to see how this plays out. Now here's the catch here, and it is the tokens. The amount of compute you're going to burn through on this is enormous. Let's put some rough numbers on it then. Obviously Opus runs at around $5 per million input tokens and 25 per million output. A big swarm run can chew through millions of tokens, so you're easily looking at tens of dollars for a single serious run, and once you're spinning up hundreds of thousands of agents on a really intensive job, that can climb into the hundreds, even thousands of dollars. And of course remember, if you are even on a max plan, this is going to burn through your usage very quickly. So where would you actually use this? Well, Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, he has been the clearest voice on this, and he's pointed to a few patterns. If you're a new age dev, someone who's just got into coding in this AI era, then this could be game changing. And even if you're an enterprise or you're a CTO looking at how to transform your business, the ability to have agents connected to each other running overnight, chewing through really big problems, I think that's massive. I think what Anthropic have picked up on here is that some of the most advanced Claude users have been hand building their own agentic workflows on top of the API. And that is serious engineering work. You're assigning separate tasks to separate agents, estimating how many tokens each will cost, deciding which model handles which job, and if one agent is falling down because it isn't powerful enough, then obviously you have to upgrade it and redo all your estimations. It is a huge undertaking, and what Anthropic has essentially done is take that capability and hand it to everybody, and it means runs can go on for much longer and they can tackle far more complex tasks. And this is obviously just a teaser of the things that we expect to come when Mythos comes online. Now here's a non-coding example I'd love to try. Imagine going back through my entire video library to find the most viral clips hidden inside my long form videos. Now before, that would take forever because 4.7 would have to download each video one at a time, pull each transcript, then evaluate them in sequence. With 4.8, you could do the downloads in parallel, of course if I have enough memory on my computer, my poor M1 MacBook Air, pull all the transcripts at the same time, and then one agent is assigned to each, and then you bring in another agent to evaluate which of those transcripts holds the most viral 30-second clips. Or let's say you're building a genuinely complicated app. 4.8 could be a brilliant choice because it could build the back end and the front end at the same time, spin up the databases you need with all the data and the auth, and then bring it all together at the end in one run, instead of stitching it together across several. But to really get the most out of this, we keep coming back to that cost factor. Your API build could turn into hundreds of dollars for the heaviest workflows, potentially far more. So you have to start asking whether this is always the right solution for you. If you're running very intensive workflows at scale, maybe a better answer could be an open source model on your own GPU. And that of course is something that Gcore offers as a service. So then, it's only just been released, but what are you most excited about with Opus 4.8? I'm really interested to hear your comments. Do you think it has solved a lot of the issues with Opus 4.7? What are some of the workflows you're going to build with this new orchestration feature now that it is available and it doesn't require you to do engineering? What does that unlock for you? Let me know in the comments. I'm always keen to hear what you think, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a lot more in the weeks to come as well. I'll see you in the next video.